How's it going, guys? If you don't know me, my name is Hannah. I am Ricky's wife, also co-founder of Mean Training, and I do primarily back-end business stuff, marketing, but I also am a nutrition coach, and I do nutrition coaching primarily. This is going to be a little bit of a different video. I wanted to kind of take you guys on this journey with me as I document my weeks leading up to my first powerlifting competition. So my first powerlifting competition is going to be on August 13th. So it's just about 6 weeks away. And I'm competing in the 52 kilogram weight class, which is 114.5 pounds, I believe. So what I am going to be doing over the next several weeks, obviously aside from training, which is going to be a huge part of my prep, I am really dialing in onto my nutrition just to make sure that I am consistently staying within my weight class, that I don't have any, fears of not making weight when I get to Maui. My meet is on Maui. So that's going to be my main kind of reason for this video today. Is I'm going to be walking you guys through kind of what my process is going to be for how I am going to do that, how I'm going to calculate out my macros, my calories, based on my training, my energy levels, what I need to be feeling my body well, but also to be making sure that I am not going to be overweight when I get to my meet. So right now I've been weighing myself kind of consistently pretty much every day for the past several months, mostly because up until getting ready for this powerlifting meet, I never weigh myself. It's just not something that is super important to me in terms of measure of progress, because I personally go a lot more by how I feel, how I look, performance, all that good stuff. So up until training for my powerlifting meet, I really never weigh myself, but over the past few months I have been weighing myself every day, specifically because I want to see what my weight fluctuates like, because everyone's weight fluctuates so much from day to day depending on your training, what you're eating, how much sodium you have in your body, a whole bunch of different things. For women, hormones obviously is a big part of that. So I have been weighing myself pretty much every day and tracking that just to get a good idea of what typical variance looks like for me. And up until this point, I've pretty much consistently weighed in around 115 on an average, which is totally fine, but for powerlifting it has to be under that specific number or else you will not make your weight class. So I need to make sure that I am able to weigh in under that 114.5 pound limit. So what I am planning on doing over the course of the next 6 weeks, I really don't have a lot to lose. It's more than anything going to be just being really strict with my calories and my macros to make sure that I'm not putting on any excess weight. And then in the last few weeks, I'm going to really be focusing in on tapering off and trying to weigh in consistently about 114. And then hopefully by the time I get to my meet, we're all good to go. Don't feel, restricted or starved or weak or anything like that from any serious crazy cutting or dieting. But just really making sure I'm being careful and methodical with what I'm doing. So all that being said, the way that I'm going to be doing this is I've kind of written out a plan for myself. Because I am a nutrition coach, it's a little bit easier because I literally do this for my work. So, it's kind of fun for me to get to be able to do this for myself and to kind of make myself my own project based on my goals and on what I need to be doing. For that, I started off by calculating my BMR. So your BMR is essentially the base level of your metabolism. It's like ground zero of all of the things that happen in your body without you even thinking about it: involuntary movements, things to keep you alive, cardiorespiratory system, all that good stuff. That is essentially what your BMR is. So it's your basal metabolic rate, and that stands for all of the things that are happening just to maintain life and provide energy. For me, my BMR, I've calculated it out. It is 1,307 calories approximately. I am a very small person. I am only 4'11", and like I said, I weigh about 115 pounds. And I'm 27. All of those are factors that are going to contribute to your BMR. So the bigger you are and the older you are, the bigger you are, and the younger you are, the higher BMR you're going to have, and then the smaller and older you are, the lower it's going to be. So a large young male is going to have a much higher BMR than an older, smaller female. So that's kind of a good way to think about it. So it factors in your weight, your height, and then your age as well. So for me, my BMR is 1,307 calories. That's again an approximation, but it's a good place to start. And then from there, we take our BMR and we factor in our activity to get our total daily energy expenditure. So your total daily energy expenditure is essentially all of the calories that you burn based on your activity levels. So for me, obviously, I'm in powerlifting prep, so my activity levels are pretty high. I am only working out 3 times a week right now, but that is because I have very high volume training sessions. My training sessions are typically anywhere from 2 to 3 hours of intense lifting. So to be a little more conservative, I have given myself only a moderately active activity level. And that's just because I feel that sometimes it overshoots kind of what your actual total daily energy expenditure is. So I've been a little more conservative just because my primary goal is I want to be losing weight, and I want to be able to maintain that for my meet. So my primary goal is to make sure that I'm not overdoing it with my calories or my macros. So for me, my total daily energy expenditure is about 2,026 calories. So just a little over 2,000 calories is approximately what I'm currently burning based on my activity levels, and all that good stuff. So for me, because I don't have a lot of weight to lose, I do want to make sure I'm maintaining my muscle mass as much as possible. I don't want to be going into a strict cut or anything like that. I'm going to have a very, very small conservative deficit. So I'm only taking a deficit at about 8% of my total calories for my TDEE. And the reason why I'm taking such a conservative deficit is because I really want to make sure I'm not losing out on any strength gains. Obviously for powerlifting, my goal is to lift as much weight as I possibly can. And so if I cut all my calories down super low, sure, I'll probably lose a bunch of weight really fast, but it's not going to be sustainable, and I'm for sure going to see some impacts on my performance. So very small deficit, and I'm honestly right now, I really don't need a big deficit because I'm already so close to making weight. This is more just precautionary to make sure that I don't weigh in over. So my deficit is only 162 calories. So I'm only going to be taking 162 calories off of my total daily energy expenditure. So that leaves me with a goal calorie intake of about 1,850 calories. So that is the number that I'm going to be basing all of my meals and all of my macros off of. So I want to be hitting 1,850 or under for my calories. And that for me is very doable. It's definitely, you know, again, for my size, I am not a big person. So that's a very doable amount for me. However, just because this is what my number is, does not mean that anyone should try and replicate this. Again, I have calculated this out very specific to me and to my goals and to my training. So just want to preface by saying that just because this is my number does not mean you should make it your number. You need to really make sure that you understand all of the things that go into this, and you're calculating it appropriately for you. Recommend getting a nutrition coach or certified nutritionist to help you out with that. I am one, so if you need help with that, I got you. And for my macro splits, I'm going to be doing a pretty standard macro split. I'm not going to be doing anything too crazy. Obviously with my training, strength and muscle growth is going to be the biggest thing that I want to be focusing in on. So I'm going to be really making sure I'm getting in my protein as much as possible, as well as my carbs, because my carbs are going to be what is fueling me for those workouts. Your body and your central nervous system primarily runs off of carbohydrates. So you need those carbs, especially for me, who is doing like a 3-hour workout. I need carbs, and I take carbs while I'm working out sometimes too. If it's a especially long training session or very high volume, I'll have like a carb snack halfway through just to keep me fueled for those workouts. So I'm going to be doing a 50% carb, 30% protein, and 20% fat macro split. So that looks like 231 grams of carbs, 139 grams of protein, and 41 grams of fat. So very high in protein, very high in carbs, pretty low in fat. But this should be just, you know, enough to get me to where I need to go with my goals without feeling restricted or like I'm starving or, you know, just hating my life. Like, I will not do that. I just won't subject myself to feeling like I'm, you know, in this severe cut. And I don't think it's necessary either. So with that being said, that is going to be kind of my goal for my macros and my calories. And so from there, after I've calculated out kind of the game plan and the roadmap for what we're going to be aiming for, I've gone in and I've actually planned out for the next 6 weeks what my meals are going to be, to make sure that I'm staying within that level of macros and calories. This is not necessary. This is very much an extra step that if you are someone that really likes to have everything kind of planned out ahead of time so that throughout the week you don't have to think about it, this is a great strategy. But for some people, you know, if you're not training for something as specific as I am, where you need to be making a certain weight by a certain date, this really is something that you can kind of do, you know, as the weeks go on the fly. You don't need to be doing as much planning and as strict planning as I am. But for my purposes and for just the way that I like to kind of have my weeks go, I really do like to have everything done in advance as much as possible, so that throughout the weeks I can just focus in on my training and work, obviously, and everything else. So I've planned out 3 weeks of meals, and then I'm gonna basically repeat it one more time. So I'm gonna be having 3 weeks of meals. I'm 6 weeks out from my first powerlifting meet, so that means that I'm gonna be having all of these meals twice. And so the way that I've split it up is that I've given myself 3 main meals and then 3 snacks as well. And so for my main meals, those are obviously going to be my biggest meals for the day. It's going to have the most calories, the most, you know, of each of the macros. And then those snacks are going to be kind of fillers in between. I like to have a pre-workout and a post-workout snack. And then my last snack of the day is not really a snack. It's more of like a treat yourself moment. It's literally a square of 72% dark chocolate and herbal tea. It's something that Ricky and I like to do, you know, when we're watching Netflix. We'll literally like have a square of chocolate and drink some tea together. It's a very old person thing. I know, I realize that. We don't have a lot of excitement in our lives, so that's our excitement. So I made sure to factor that in, and that's another important thing I would say too, is be realistic with the things that you know you love and the things that you want to make room for. Like, I made room for that in my plan to make sure I can still have that square of dark chocolate, you know, every night and not feel like it's hindering my goals or, you know, anything like that. So be realistic with yourself, kind of look at what are your habits and what are the things that you like to do, and make sure you make room for that. That's all it is. So anyway, so back to my meal splits. So meal 1 and meal 2 are the same in terms of calories and macros. So that's 410 calories, 50 carbs, 30 protein, 10 fat. And then for my snacks, my pre-workout snack is heavier in carbs, just because you always want to be eating primarily carbs before a workout. So it's high in carbs and protein. And then my post-workout snack is lower in carbs, higher in protein, and a little higher in fat. And then my last meal of the day is dinner, technically, which I like to eat a big dinner. That's just something that, like, by the end of the day, I'm usually like pretty hungry. So I gave myself a bigger meal for that. So 475 calories, 55 carbs, 30 protein, 15 fat. And that's my highest fat meal of the day as well, just because usually we eat with, Ricky and I will either grab something out or we'll eat with family. And that is, you know, typically just a higher fat meal. So that's kind of how I've broken it up for my meals and my calories and macros. I'm going to do my best to really try and stay within the guidelines I've given myself. I'm usually not strict in terms of tracking, but because I do have this deadline coming up where I need to make this certain weight, I have to be. So usually I'm an intuitive eater, but for these purposes, I am tracking. So for the next couple of weeks, I've calculated it out, all of the different meals that I want to make, and then the calories and macros associated with those. So I have everything planned out basically on my spreadsheet. You can see here, everything is planned out as much as possible. I'm kind of a psychopath when it comes to planning, so there you go. So what we're going to do next is I'm going to go ahead and start prepping for this week. So typically when I prep meals, I prep lunch and then sometimes breakfast and snacks. For my lunch this week, it's going to be pretty simple. It's nothing crazy. It's just going to be some grass-fed steak, some sweet potato, some asparagus, and then I'm also going to be having oatmeal for breakfast and things like that. But I really only need to prep my lunches this week, so it's a pretty easy prep. And then I also, when I was at the grocery store, I picked up a bunch of vegetables and fruits to snack on. I'm going to be snacking on a lot of cucumbers, a lot of grapes, a lot of things that just have high water content and have fiber and help kind of make you feel more satiated. So I'm going to go ahead and get started on prepping all of that, and we will see you in a second. Okay, so for this week's meal preps, we're going to be doing grass-fed top sirloin as our protein source, and then some sweet potatoes and asparagus to go with it. So I just wanted to real quickly show the beef that I'm using. So this is grass-fed local beef from Kualoa Ranch. If you live in Hawaii, you should for sure go to, well, I guess Oahu. You should for sure grab some. It is like the best kept secret in my opinion in terms of beef. It's such a good price and such good quality, and it's all local cattle that's raised on the ranch and grass-fed and free range. It's like really, really good quality. And I'm using top sirloin. So top sirloin is just a leaner cut of beef. It's going to have less marbling throughout it, so it's going to be leaner. Alright, so I got my lunch stuff all going. I have my sweet potatoes in the oven, the steak is done, and the asparagus is steaming. So while that is finishing up, I'm going to make my breakfast, which is just going to be some overnight oats. I'm only making 2 portions at a time just because they get kind of wonky if they sit for too much longer than that. So for today's overnight oats, it's going to be super simple, nothing crazy. I'm going to be starting with a ½ a cup of quick cook oats, and then I'm going to be adding in 2 scoops of collagen peptides. That's going to add in about 20 grams of protein. 2 scoops of that. I personally prefer the collagen peptides, the unflavored ones, because they don't give it that same weird like consistency that whey protein does, but Ricky likes the whey protein better, so I don't know. It just depends on what you like. After that, I'm going to add in a tablespoon of shelled hemp seeds. These are really great for healthy fats as well as some plant protein. I'm just adding in 1 tablespoon of that, and then I'm going to add in a tablespoon of natural peanut butter. This is just literally peanuts and salt. I always make sure that it's the natural one because some of the other ones have a lot of like added oils and stuff you just really don't need. So adding in a tablespoon of that.
Also the scale's broken, so
I love that. I like to see it. All right, and then 1 tablespoon or like ½ a tablespoon-ish of honey. This is almost out. Movie magic. Love it. Oh yeah. All right, and then we're gonna add about ½ a cup of almond milk. Probably need a little bit more, maybe like 3/4 of a cup maybe, just to make sure that we can mix everything. All right, got it all mixed up. It is gonna be a little bit of a thinner consistency, but that's just because the oats are going to soak it up as it sits. All right, so we got our steak pulled off of the Traeger. we cooked this a little more on the rare side, just because it's for meal prep, and typically when we meal prep, we're obviously going to be like reheating it quite a bit. So cooked it more on the rare side-ish, and then we're going to be pairing this with our veggies and potatoes, and then that's going to make our lunches for the week. So typically when we prep, we would be measuring out all of our food on a scale, but we just discovered that our scale is broken, so therefore we will not be doing that for the sake of this video, but usually I would, just because that's going to be the most surefire way to make sure that you are getting the right portion sizes. And then for Ricky and I, we're going to be eating the same meals. That's why I cook so much, but obviously different portion sizes just depending on our goals and our size. So Ricky is clearly much larger than me and runs a lot of miles, so he's going to need more food than I do. So I'll show you what that looks like in a minute. Just trimming off the fat on the edges. That's the nice thing about top sirloin, is that it's usually just got like kind of like one side that's got a lot of fat on it, and then the rest of it is pretty lean. Damn, Ricky, you really overcooked these.
Sorry.
This is like very overcooked. Ricky took it off the grill.
Oh, come on. Don't throw me under the bus.
Dude, this is not my fault. This is his fault.
Oh, come on.
I cook steak perfectly. Not perfectly, but...
In the middle of doing this, Hannah had to hop on a nutrition call with one of her clients, so she left grill duty to me, and
messed it up.
Obviously, I didn't do a great job. It still tastes good though. That's the main thing.
130 degrees, Ricky. Pull it off at 130 degrees. Can you do that? Yeah, I can do that.
I'm ashamed.
Alright, just adding a little bit of some garlic and sea salt for our asparagus. I added like a little drizzle of olive oil, and we just steamed it super fast. Main thing is just making sure you don't overcook your veggies, because no one likes mushy asparagus. It's just not the move. So I always try to get it just before they turn, and then they're obviously going to cook more as you microwave it too, so just want to try not to overdo anything, like our steak.
Dang. Ruthless. Catching strays over here.
For our sweet potato, honestly, I'm just going to cut it and just section it up for the meals. So usually I'm prepping Ricky's meals first. Usually if my scale was working, I would give him about 300 grams of sweet potatoes.
Pretty. I'll go to the same place.
Alright, so got our potatoes in there. Again, I'm just eyeballing because no scale. But I'm going to try and give him about 6-ish ounces of steak. Typically, one fist is about 4 ounces, so I'm going to give him a little bit more than that. And some asparagus. We ain't doing it fancy over here in the Kunmeyer household. We're just going for it. And then for myself, I'm going to be doing about 200 grams of sweet potato, so just a little bit less than Ricky. And about 4 ounces of steak for me. And last but not least, some veggies, and we are done with our meal prep for lunches. Thanks for joining me today. I hope this was helpful in some way. I figured it was a good time to kind of share with you guys what I'm doing for my powerlifting split and for my meat prep. So hope this was helpful for you if you're new to meal prepping, or if you have a specific goal that's similar to mine and are looking for just ways to kind of get there. Let us know. I do offer nutrition coaching, and that comes with everything customized to you and to your goals. So like for me, example, my goals are very specific to my training style, to what I'm doing, to, you know, the timeline that I have. So obviously my nutrition needs to be a part of that. And same thing for you. You know, don't stick with just cookie cutter, you know, programs or advice. Really find something that's tailored to you. That is what's gonna help you get to your goals as quickly and efficiently as possible. So, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you like this kind of content and want to see more of it, let us know. I am clearly very new to the YouTube game and have a lot to get better at, but appreciate you guys, and don't forget to be kind, train mean.